Oh, hello.
Wait, why did that person just recognize me?
I saw you in the Shoeless bit, dude. You destroyed Shoeless.
What? I didn't do that?
Now, considering you're the best player in Rumble, I assume I don't have to go easy on you.
Whoa, stop! I'm not the best player in the game. I'm just a newcomer. Then again, that's how most legends start. A slightly unusual moment becomes distorted by word of mouth, just to become a tale much bigger than it originally was. I guess that in that sense, I have become a legend. Hi, I'm Sean Mark. If you know me at all, odds are it's because I was once decent at Pokemon. I've recently participated in the Battle of Champions, Rumble's biggest tournament yet, and my run was one that should have been forgettable, yet quickly became one of the biggest storylines of the tournament. Before we get to that, I guess that we have to address the elephant in the room. What even is Rumble? Rumble is a PvP VR fighting game where the only way to do moves is by physically doing the right poses. Why Rumble? Short answer, I found this YouTube video by Shoeless, which ended up being one of the best pieces of media that I've ever watched. If you want the long answer, it's the rest of this video. I got the game during the Steam sale since it was only a few weeks away. Once I opened the game, I practiced the 3 moves that you get at the beginning. I practiced for 1 hour since I was starting to get tired and called it a day. And the next day, well, you're seeing the footage right now. I was too sore to play for the next 3 days. I didn't waste my time during those 3 days though. I set up my OBS to be able to stream the game, and while testing my setup, I found out that I can do moves left-handed, which led me to learning the game ambidextrously. I streamed my next session where I would finally play my first matches. After a few games, I reached Yellow Belt, which unlocked 3 new moves. One person who found my stream named Musical Memoir asked me to host a multiplayer lobby in order to teach me a few combos. What I didn't know at the time was that I was very lucky, since he has a reputation for being one of the best teachers in the game.
Musical Memoir says you muted me.
So, muting is a little bit annoying. It happens a lot with beginners. And then you're teaching them and then suddenly they cannot hear you anymore. And because they cannot hear you, you cannot explain why they cannot hear you.
As you can tell, I had a very strong start.
Because the nice thing about this game is it doesn't track movements, it only checks for poses. So no matter how you get to the right pose, if you do the right pose, it triggers. So now it's the nice thing, with a pose like this, it's really close to a straight. From this pose, all you have to do is with your right hand, rotate into flat, and with this hand, bring to your shoulders. Yes, yes, that's a good one. But now is going to be the more interesting, potentially a little bit harder. Some people struggle with it in the beginning. You'll probably do fine. The straight kick. If I do kick straight, I first unground it. So with kick in front, it doesn't matter if the structure is ungrounded or grounded, it has the same effect. But with straight kick, it's different. Because straighting a grounded structure gives a boost. An ungrounded structure, it falls over. So you want to use that boost, but the thing is, because it's grounded, it has friction, so it will slow down. But what if you first give it the boost and then remove it from the ground? It flies far because it gets a boost and the friction is getting removed. Doing it straight. Push back.
I hopped off as soon as he finished his lesson. I remembered how my first session went, and I didn't want to be sore for multiple days again, as I'd already been playing for 2.5 hours. 2 days later, I basically repeated the same approach as last time on stream. Practice muscle memory, then a bit of matchmaking. I unlocked Green Belt relatively quickly, which gave me access to these moves. Jump, which isn't going to be very relevant in this video. Wall, which helps with defense because of its size, and is a structure that does the most damage. And Uppercut, which is a game changer. Uppercut sends structures at a 45-degree angle. Remember the hop? Now, imagine if we used an uppercut instead of a kick. Much quicker. People call it the strupper cut. I practiced the move every time I played for at least 20 minutes to make sure that the muscle memory would build up, because it's that much of a game changer, and is often combined with other combos or moves. The rest of the stream after I reached green belt was practicing uppercut straight to get used to the motion in reverse, since it's way more forgiving in comparison. After that, I signed a Discord. It was the last day to sign up for Battle of Champions. I took a look at the rules and saw that it was going to be a Swiss-style tournament where we would play 1 round a week with a total of 8 rounds. I figured that it would be worth it for me since I would get better every week. And since I would be losing a lot early on, my opponents would be getting worse every week. That means that once I get close enough to the bottom of the barrel, I might be able to beat someone. That was my goal, not finish showing 8. I signed up without knowing that I had just signed up to Rumble's biggest tournament ever. I left a message in that Discord saying, ready to get destroyed. I came back later to a ping in that same Discord that I did not expect at all. If you guys don't recognize him, let me give you a refresher. I found this YouTube video by Shoeless, which ended up being one of the best pieces of media that I've ever watched, which led to a short conversation. Oh, week 1 is out? Okay, now let me put into perspective what this pairing looks like. This is Shoeless. This is me. Shoeless. Me. Shoeless. Me. It wasn't all bad though. One of the perks of being paired against Shoeless was that I automatically got the spotlight. And people always love underdog stories, so people were very eager to help the green belt to stand a chance against a big man. Since I was a green belt, I was always going to lose round 1 anyway. But with this amount of support, I might be able to grow quickly enough to see a difference later on. We were playing on Wednesday, which meant that I had 3 days. Since he wanted me to unlock black belt before the match so that I could maybe fight back, the only hurdle he saw was unlocking the moves. What I saw was unlocking the moves and getting used to them. That made me wonder, do I even want to unlock black belt? If I don't, where do I want to stop? Let's look at what I unlock at each of the remaining belts. Blue belt, cube, and dash. Cube is the fastest spawning grounded structure in the game. Yes, that would be a useful one. Dash is a burst movement option. It was a move that I was the most eager to unlock out of the ones I didn't have already. Conclusion? Yes, let's get blue belt. Red belt, parry and hold. Parry allows you to stop structures heading your way. It's a cool move, but learning the timing might be hard to master in such a short amount of time. I'd be surprised if it could be something that I'd be able to use in practice. I don't really care about it. Hold allows you to move a structure at will. This is a very powerful tool, both offensively and defensively. A game changer. I say that unlocking hold is when it feels like you're finally playing the game. Conclusion? I also want to unlock hold. Red belt. Black belt. Flick and explode. People say that you need 300 hours of Rumble before you should learn Flick. I obviously wasn't going to do much with it as a fresh black belt. Explode looks cool, but it's a move that can work against you very quickly if you don't use it well. I'm already enough of a liability to myself as is. I don't need to add more. Conclusion? Aim for red belt and spend the rest of my time understanding how to fully utilize what I'll have by that point. Even if I know I'm going to lose, I can at least make sure that I surpass expectations, and this was the best way to do it. I obtained blue belt relatively quickly and started practicing cubes and dashes as soon as possible. I was still practicing my strupper cuts every time I logged on, as I knew that it was something that I would need in the long run. I did manage to get red belt before the match. 3 hours before the match to be exact. AlexaRus117 was kind enough to give me a quick lesson on hold and parry before my match. I was supposed to have streamed that part, but I accidentally hit the end stream hotkey while trying to edit settings. Thankfully, Alex recorded the session from his perspective.
Hey.
Alright, do you know about the slingshot?
No, I don't.
So a slingshot is when I have hold, you see how it goes into place. It goes forward. But if you straighten it right when it's going forward, that's a slingshot. Hand just on the wall, right? And then... Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
So with ungrounded objects, you might need a little bit more of a swing. You can't just slingshot those. There you go.
And with that, I was as ready as I could be for the match.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I will not hold back. I will not toy with you. I will show you the full extent of Rumble. The least experienced Rumbler to sign up, you happen to get me, but you've got the most potential to grow. You will be like the most improved award, no matter what.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. There are a few extra awards in this tournament, and one of them is called the Rising Star, which goes to the player who started with less than 1000 BP and earned the most over the course of the tournament. There's no way that this award will develop into a major plot point of this video though, right?
Look, and if you just even like hit me, that's an achievement. Like if you do damage.
All right, so that's where the bar is set. Got it.
You win.
Well, that's what everyone says happened. What I remember though looked more like this.
Yeah, check out John Mark's stream.
You guys heard the man.
I will play you like any other player. Some people will call that cruel.
I call that an initiation.
Initiation. It's not fair. It's not fair. And hopefully get a shot off. No, it's called it. Yeah, not to mention this is your first like high ping match.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing.
It's my first match with Holt.
Your first match with Hole. Trying to blood bend you off the match.
I thought I wasn't gonna be toyed with that much.
I just. Is the cat playing with a mouse? Is that cruel or is that a mercy? The mouse has a chance to escape.
But I don't really here. For some reason my right stick is not working.
We're good, we're back. Oh, nice. Oh, you got the stick turned back?
Yeah, now I think it's drifting. You did tell me you were gonna show me what the game has to offer.
Yeah, sure.
So like, you're respecting that promise.
One actually. If you make two walls and hold the back one, that's called a hold trap. Now it's easily disarmable with a disc explode, but if someone takes a second to disarm it, they're not looking at you. And if you can pull it off secretly, we're still fighting by the way. Yeah, let me show you real quick. See this?
Yeah.
If you put your hand in here, then it won't break. So now try with a cube and then do a special happen. You have to just walk close here.
Is that what was supposed to happen?
Yeah. It's a bit like
You felt
your
so
hand is bigger than your face.
you felt so scared. You felt so scared that you had to take that as an advantage.
Unfortunately for me, matches aren't decided with your mouth, so the result was as expected. As for round 2, I didn't even need to look up the pairings. They were already talking about it in the official Discord. Rocky Boy was at around 900 BP at the start of the week, which meant that I could maybe stand a chance, but I was still at a severe disadvantage. I saw on Monday that Boxy K9 was about to give a lesson on Volatile, a playstyle heavily relying on a shift stone affecting the move Explode. Oh, right. We haven't talked about shift stones yet. Shift stones are equipable stones that have secondary effects based on various conditions to activate. You have one equipped per hand. Some shift stones are passive and won't really affect how you will play, like the two that I had been using up until now. The Vigor Stone, which heals you by 2 if you manage to deal 5 damage to your opponent within 6 seconds, and the Adamant Stone, which reduces damage that you take by 1 after successfully hitting an opponent. The Volatile Stone increases Explode's knockback by 50%, which opens a lot of possibilities, such as this. Some of the other shift stones will be brought up in due time, but for now, it won't really matter. Voxy was joined by Alex the Rust as an assistant for the lesson, and they both were teaching me, Lexicon 707, who helped me reach black belt in time with some sparring, and Rocky Boy 11. Yep, that's right, my opponent was also there for the lesson. It was actually a funny situation, because he'd also show up the next day when I was streaming to practice in a park, which led to some fun interactions.
That's probably going to be the most fun thing about using Volatile, just going for the most random things, it happening to work out, just say calculated every time.
Yeah, so it's probably safe if you do some movement. Although, just watch out for the boulder.
No, don't. You don't need to be careful. Don't be careful about the boulders.
Oh yeah, I was only talking to you, not him.
He doesn't have a favorite.
Yeah, I'll just go. It's like being a fighter going to another country when no one likes you. You know everyone's gonna be cheering for the other person, but at least I can use Flick without people spamming in the chat.
Oh, I should have stayed red belt.
Exactly. You should have seen white belt, and I would have used white belt moves on you.
It felt like I was developing a rivalry with him that will last longer than this week, and the feeling was mutual. I figured that if I was going to be in the running for Rising Star, he would be my closest competition. I practiced against European opponents quite a bit that week to make sure that I'd start getting used to higher paying matches. I took a break the day before the match to make sure that I wouldn't be sore, and I would take some time on Friday to practice moves and get into a few matches to warm up. I ended up playing for 2.5 hours. So much for a warm up. The match starts, and I actually win the first round. I come close to taking the match, but Rocky Boy manages to take it. The second one isn't close, and I noticed by that point that I'm already tired. I might have played a bit too much before the match. I don't win a single round after that point. 6-0 again, but at least this time I managed to take a round. I'd say that I can't complain, but that would be a lie. Before I complain though, let me explain that I think that even without my biggest issue, I probably would have lost anyway. Here's a good example of a very dumb mistake that shows that there was no way I could have won. You see that wall? Yep, nothing wrong there. I dash towards the wall. Normally, this could be risky, but if we look back, he's far enough that I don't have to worry. If you listen to the sound, you see that he's also dashing towards the wall. That's good for me. It means that I can straight it directly into him for good damage. I apply explode. Why? I can't say that it's just my headset's fault if I'm going to do something this stupid. My headset. That's my biggest issue. I know that you might be thinking, that sounds like a skill issue. This is what my Rift looked like. Feel free to pause to read everything wrong with it because I'm not reading it out loud. Mume's reaction is the most accurate way to describe it. A Rift sensors have to be directly plugged into your PC, so if you try turning too much in your play space, it stops tracking. That's already not ideal. Even if I'm in the proper spot, it doesn't even work all the time. You see that sudden hand movement? That's not what I'm doing in real life. It's just struggling. And you think that's bad? Look at this from during my match versus Rocky Boy. You know how long that clip lasted? 5 seconds. I was at the complete mercy of my opponent for 5 whole seconds. And if you're thinking, come on, you just cherry picked the worst clip that you could find, this one is even longer! I knew that it meant that I was due for an upgrade if I was going to complain that much, so I bought an index the following day. I was no longer going to be playing on hard mode. With a new proper set of weapons in hand, the younger Vander's full potential was soon to be unleashed. That potential was so great that his third opponent was too intimidated to face him in battle. Who even writes this? That's not what happened! I mean, sure, I guess that getting the index is the main reason why I improved so much this quickly, but my opponent wasn't scared. He was just busy. I mean, I guess that means I wasn't gonna finish 0-8, but
That's just very anticlimactic.
So, how did the index improve my gameplay? The detection being significantly better improved my consistency by a lot. The index base stations allowed me to rotate 360 degrees, allowing me to focus on the game more than where I'm standing relative to my PC. And the smallest thing that changed my gameplay by a lot was, the index's cable was about 3 times the length of my rifts, which gave me a lot of room to move around and allowed me to start using IRL movement to dodge incoming attacks. What did I do this week then? I decided I'd spend a week just doing another training session with Alex where we spent a lot of time playing a minigame that he thought of to practice volatile, and a little bit of sparring against Sleepy Bob, who helped me with my strupper cuts during week 1. I only recorded a small part of that session, but he recorded what I'd consider the highlight of that session.
Get a dodge.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
And to top it all off, on Friday I had a rematch against Rocky Boy, who wanted to see how much better I would be after changing headsets. And that was probably the best reference for how much I'd improved. The session was very interesting to rewatch because I can see the progression over the course of that session. I start off by losing every round, although I can get close on host. I noticed my dash is becoming smarter, my moves hitting my targets better, my strupper cuts getting more consistent, and eventually, I started to win rounds, and after a bit more time, win matches. Since I was 1 and 2, it meant that I wasn't going to face the bottom of the barrel. Instead, I was paired against Kajo. I feel like I've heard this name before. Let's see if I can find any footage of him. Over 20,000 BP? How is he 1 and 2? Round 1? Sugib, a very strong player. Okay, that makes sense. Round 2? He got the win there. No surprise really. Round 3? Sabitarian. Okay, that makes sense. He was just unlucky. That doesn't explain why I recognize his name though.
People have started calling me yours and Vivian's child.
Oh, that's why. Father and son? Now they're going to say that this is Hamlet from Wish. But again, that's just what the legend says. Reality is that there's absolutely nothing to avenge. And instead, just like his father, the son will beat up the new kid. This week's plan? I knew about a tournament called the Beginners Rumble League for players with less than 1,000 BP. They work with a coach for a few weeks before competing in the tournament. I reached out to one of the coaches, Bobo, to see if he'd be willing to teach me, since his focus was on fundamentals, which is exactly what I wanted to work on. If you're expecting clips of the conversation...
C'est plus sur pit que je pense que j'utilise de toute façon parce que généralement, je remarque que les gens ont plus tendance à maintenir la distance sur pit.
We were speaking in French, and I forgot to record the Discord audio. Oops. He told me that the main thing I was missing from my gameplay was slingshots. He wasn't wrong, and I was noticing it too. Since I switched to the index, I was barely even using hold. Hold is something that allows you to use debris to your advantage, and increases the speed of your pressure since you don't have to be constantly summoning. That was going to be my main focus this week. The skill gap was too big for me to bother with a plan for Kajo, so this was the best I could do. If I can't get the win in the short term, might as well aim for the long term. Before we get into the match against Kajo, let's talk playstyles. People say that it takes a while for a playstyle to develop, but I would say that mine was already starting to form. This match is a great showcase of it, especially since RDM was really good at breaking it down mid-match.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, that's messed up. Now, I am going to murder you now.
Considering you're the best player in roguelike, so I don't have to go easy on you.
The rumors are greatly exaggerated, but go ahead.
I can't be losing rounds on you.
No, we got sandwiched. So you are the final boss of my deck. Crazy dodges.
Thanks.
Ow. Hitting myself. Good round.
Thanks.
That clearly means you're good at the game. Those IRL dodges are crazy, man.
Thank you.
What playstyle are you going to be going for?
I don't know yet.
Hopefully it's the one where I beat you.
I mean, I'm doing very good at that playstyle right now.
I actually don't know if I've seen you use Volatile a single time this round.
I did not. I'm just barely keeping up with the pace. Against most players better than me, I couldn't slow down, even just slightly, in order to apply Explode to moves. Explode doesn't take long to do. This is a post for it, but it's still an extra step. As I was still getting used to higher paced matches, every bit of time made a difference. It doesn't mean that I didn't use it at all anymore, but it was matchup dependent. One type of playstyle where I would use Explode a lot was against a shift zone called Charge, where a structure would gain a lot of speed if it is held for at least 1 second. Because the opponent is typically going to play much slower, I can use Explode more easily, and throwing Explode structures against a Charge player can disrupt them a lot since ungrounding a structure breaks the hold, and that's what Explode does. If I can't break the hold, I can use Explode to redirect thrown structures. This was another match where my opponent wasn't going to take me seriously. This time, instead of going for the silliest choices possible like Shoeless was, he was going for the flashiest. I can't even be mad, just look at this. Surprisingly, it's not like I didn't impress him at all either. Like here.
Whoa, what a deck.
The problem is, for every good thing I did, he would do 3. Like what happened immediately after this. He immediately hits me, uses a knockback to push me to another exploding structure, and then intentionally gets hit by the exploding cube I sent his way to get close and finish me off.
Tactical damage taking.
I was being toyed with. It did not look completely hopeless though.
Ouch.
As he was going for flashy moves,
Ouch.
I did see an opportunity for me to maybe sneak away with something.
Ouch.
The amount of self-damage he did with boulders was huge, and maybe I could do just enough that I could steal a few rounds, maybe even a game. That hope wasn't unfounded. It happened exactly as I predicted. Just as quickly as I managed to sneak a round win, all of a sudden, I was very close to a game win. There was just one slight issue I didn't think about. The fact that Kajo would lock in. On its own, that would already be bad enough. The real problem though was the fact that I completely crumbled. Was it nerves? Or being overwhelmed by his pressure? Maybe it was the exhaustion starting to creep up, because you can hear my breathing in the VOD a little. All I know is that I was messing up my poses a lot. And the result was as expected. It was a 6-0 again, but at least I managed to take a client round, which is a huge step up. I realize that I haven't explained what I mean by a client round yet, mainly because it wasn't very relevant until now, but might as well explain it. One player is the host and gets 0 delay. The other is the client and gets all of it. Whose host is alternated after each match, or best of 3. The first tiebreaker in a tournament match is decided by who won the most client rounds. Considering the disadvantage, being able to take a client round is a big deal. The result wasn't a surprise, but the fact that I was able to make it close at times means one positive through it all, even if he wasn't giving it his all. It meant that he underestimated me too much over the course of the match, and that I surpassed his expectations. Considering the difference in experience, I don't think there's much more I could have aimed for. Okay, so let's see what we've got so far on this run. The biggest content creator of this game, the rival, the activity win, the sun. Surely this week will finally be a normal week, right? Nope! You can't make this up. Alex the Russ. Now it's time for me to face the teacher. I was practicing quite a bit, but for some reason I didn't record a lot of my practice that week. I couldn't tell you why. One thing that I didn't mention yet is that while normally this would be a week where we would play on Ring, it wasn't allowed in tournament for now because at the start of week 3, an update came out and with it came a small glitch on Ring where this would happen. This was unlucky for me because Ring is a much smaller map than Pit, which is something that my playstyle appreciates more as they have less room to run away and create distance. When I was close range, my preferred range, it's because my strongest tool heavily favors it, my dodging skills. Since every attack has knockback, not getting hit is essential to close in. Once the distance is closed, the amount of time that you've got to react to things is much lower, and physical dodging is the best way if you're quick enough, since waiting for structures to be summoned can take too long. Because of the smaller margin for error, I started using cubes. A lot. A little too much even. While you've heard me sing the praises of dodging a lot so far, there are reasons why you don't see a lot of people doing it in higher level matches. The most glaring one is that if you're crouching, you can't do any poses. Your height is taken into account for your poses, and you're way too low. The other reason is, you become exhausted way faster. It's already exhausting enough to move your arms constantly just to hit your poses, add squatting and side jumping, and it wasn't surprising that I was always exhausted before my opponents whenever I was playing. This playstyle was very good when it worked, but my biggest problem was that I didn't have much health to fall back to when it didn't. And since Bobo was about to be busy with school, I needed another way to get some training. So I signed up to the Rumblebee Dojo. This was going to be the first time that I was going to prepare for a specific opponent instead of mainly focusing on my own stuff. I knew that Alex was very familiar with how I played, so I needed to adjust how I play. I knew that he didn't have that much BP compared to most of my previous opponents, but he was still double of what I had, and I knew that he also spent a lot of time in the lab. Looking at my gameplay, I felt that I was better off with a different shift zone than Volatile. I wasn't expecting him to use Charge. I don't know why I didn't expect him to, especially when the footage I had showed him using Charge for his host playstyle. I decided I would use Stubborn instead, which reduces damage by 1 and eliminates hold knockback if you dashed or jump in the last half second. Considering my rushdown style, I figured it would work well for me. And because for some reason I thought he wouldn't use Charge, it meant that it would be useful 100% of the time. If I had paid enough attention to the footage, I probably would have gone for Stubborn Volatile on client and Stubborn Adamant on host. It's a fairly common strategy at higher level play, and I'd rather explain why later in the video, because it's closely related to one of the things that I focused on for a certain week. And while I didn't record a lot of my practice, I did a lot of it, because I was sore when I woke up on the day of the match. Not ideal, I know. I want to make it clear before anything else. I'm not using that as an excuse. If I was sore because of work or something important in real life, then sure, I'd consider it an excuse. But the only reason why I was sore was because I played too much Rumble. I think that this was my worst match of the entire tournament. Sure, the sore arms didn't help, but the biggest issue was my complete lack of adaptation, especially since there were so many ways I could have done something about it during the match. My movement was way slower than usual and generally not as smart, which allowed Alex to keep his distance very easily. I should have adapted by using discs more, or I could have fixed the range issue by changing one of my shift zones to Charge. Instead, I was clumsily trying to chase Alex as he was effortlessly able to just run away to keep his distance. I was too stubborn to change my playstyle, and my body wasn't adamant enough to endure it. For week 6, I was up against Azart. I was talking about wanting an opponent that didn't have an amazing storyline for once last week, and I guess this was it. It was 2-3 at that point, which felt like a bad sign for me. I don't really want to talk a lot about what I decide to focus on for week 6 because it basically boils down to improving on my execution for basically everything that I've talked about before, which honestly is not that exciting. So instead, let's talk about how this game is still in early access, worked on by a small team of 4 people, out of which only 2 directly work on the code. So obviously, there are going to be bugs. We already saw the ring floor glitch before. This other bug happened while I was practicing for week 8, but I think that's better shown here than in week 8 because of how unusual it is. Normally, structures would break when they hit another structure or if they hit someone. They weren't here. I have no words, it's just really funny. Even if the game itself might be running smoothly most of the time, the hardware can be very finicky sometimes too. I think that I already showcased this well enough through what playing with my Rift was like, but especially with quests, you could sometimes tell when the headset was about to die because they would start lagging because their power saving mode would start automatically, for example. Why am I going on a tangent about technical issues? Yep, you probably guessed it. On game day, I booted VR and... green snow! Yep, my headset was having issues. It's really unfortunate because I never had that issue before, and it would take months before it would appear again. I had to restart my PC a few times, unplug and replug my headset, tried it all, and eventually I got it to work, although I was a bit late for my match. Now we just had to add each other, queue, and fight on pit. Why are we on ring, might you ask? I didn't bring it up until now, but there's no way to decide which map we're playing on. It just didn't come up until now because I'd been lucky. Because there are only 2 maps, we have a 50% chance to get the right map. How many times did it take us? 5. Finally. As the match started, I noticed that there was something off with my detection, and I couldn't put my finger on what. I thought that maybe I needed to adjust my play area. I thought that maybe I was going crazy. In hindsight, it might have just been on my headset wasn't 100% fixed, even if the snow was gone. As if we didn't run into enough issues as is. My internet died right after the end of one of our matches. It didn't die for long, thankfully, but it still meant that we had to re-queue. And as if the first time hadn't been enough of a nightmare, it took us another 5 tries before getting pit again to finish the match. It honestly wasn't a very exciting match, not to my opponent's fault. But I have to say a huge thank you to Azart for his patience, because while it was probably even more frustrating for me than it was for him, he was still extremely patient through it all and remained very polite the whole way through, despite me sounding quite salty because of the technical issues. I think I'm gonna have to basically tweak my play area because I think there's been something off for a bit.
It was annoying, but at the end of the day, I still knew he was a better player.
Good luck in that. Bye.
That week I was paired against CLC, and I found out that week about a win condition that I'd never seen before and might never see again. And now it was 2-5. Both wins due to my opponent forfeiting. It worked out pretty well for me though, since I was busy that week and barely had any time to play. Now let's just move on to week 8. Week 8, my last chance to get a win through my gameplay. Well, that's how it would have been normally, but we got an announcement saying that we were adding an extra round, so we would have a week 9. I was 2-5 now, and while I did reach my goal of not finishing 0-8, I wasn't really satisfied. My wins were gifted to me. I wanted to earn at least 1. This week I was up against Invixity, an 800 BP Australian player. This meant that the ping was going to be atrocious. It was very clear that we were pretty much guaranteed to win our host matches, so it would come down to whoever would win a client round first. And luckily for me, before I even knew who my opponent was going to be, my ability to play on client was the thing that I wanted to work on the most. I had realized at some point during week 6 that my client gameplay was especially bad. Playing on client is basically the same as playing a heavy character in a traditional fighting game, where you can't rely on reaction and need to either go for traps or reads in order to get hits in. My game plan relied on reacting to my opponents too much, especially as my defense mainly relied on dodging. If you don't have as much time to react, how can you win on client? Figure out ways to give yourself more time to react? Being more proactive than reactive?
Figure out situations where your opponent can't react. Capitalize more on the fewer opportunities that I've got. Being more proactive than reactive isn't going to be the best for me, because I'd say that it works best with high pace. One thing that I would say about capitalizing on the fewer opportunities is that the best way is different for each stage. For ring, it's by going for ring outs, and for pit, it would be to use boulders more effectively. I felt like I wouldn't have enough time in a week to become used to boulders, so that was a bit out of the question too. The best way I found to give myself more time to react was to use volatile structures defensively, since structures would deviate in angles that would give me more time to react. By using volatile structures more, I would be able to take advantage of ricochets better, which can be very hard to react to. While I said that I stopped using Explode as much for the past few weeks to get used to the higher pace, it was now time to bring it back.
Oh gosh, 336 ping.
Oh god. To give an idea of what that looks like in practice, let me show you my reaction when I played my warm-up match on client. Pay attention to when my arms go up to summon a cube, and how long it takes for the cube to show up. Oh my god. Oh my god. The fact that he was short was also going to limit how I could use ball. So my main projectile is going to be disc, which is unfortunate considering that he's using stubborn, which means discs will do nothing if he's dashing. Speaking of stubborn, you might have noticed that he's only running a 1 stone. He only realized halfway through the first match.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. I didn't equip my second stone.
First match was very quick. I rushed in and deleted his HP bar very quickly. First client match was rough. The delay makes it hard to do anything, but I was making the most of my practice, especially since he hadn't charge. I was using Explode way more, even if it sometimes backfired. Because of the delay, using my usual tactics to approach was hard, so I tried using hold and strap cut cubes and discs to chip away at his HP from a distance, and using volatile walls as a defense. I would lose the first round, but I brought him low enough for me to have hope to maybe sneak one away eventually. The second round was much quicker though. Similarly to how my first host round went, he managed to get in and melted my HP bar away. For the second host match, the first round was very straightforward for me. It took a bit longer because Invixity was way more focused on maintaining distance, but I just remained calm to damage him when the opportunities were there, while limiting his options by breaking his structures as he summoned them. I was just shy of a perfect round. The second round showed me right from the start why I had to stop him from having space. Once he did, he immediately started sending charged walls my way, and I was quickly on the back foot. As weird as it sounds, it had a bit of an advantage because I didn't really see him use charge in a relevant way until now. I managed to stop one of his walls with my own, and use that opportunity to close the distance. Once I managed to get one hit in, it went the same way as usual. While I was worried for a moment, it was another 2-0 host win. Next client round started poorly for me. I started a bit too recklessly and was immediately punished for it. I think that it worked as a wake-up call though, as I started playing Explode again after this and remained patient, using my cubes offensively when I needed it, and using them for pressure when the window was there. Next thing I knew, he was down to 1 HP. I wasn't going to complicate it, I was going to use a disc to finish him off. It's the fastest way to hit him from that far. Since the discs weren't hitting, I set a cube strapper cut to distract him, and the disc that followed was what I needed to get the client round. I had the tiebreaker now. I could go for the match win, but with the ping, I thought it wasn't likely. So instead, I figured that I would take the rest of this match relatively easy to save my strength and make sure that I would win my last host match 2-0. If I could pull it off, the final match would be irrelevant to the final result. I did lose the next 2 rounds, and now it was time for the last host match. He started by creating some distance, so I decided to chip him with some cubes. He tried escaping once he saw that he was slowly getting stuck, and I used that opportunity to pounce on him. He tried to retreat to the other side to use boulders again, but I managed to trap him again, forcing him to escape. I took advantage of when he was retreating to finish him off. I was now 1 round away from my first legitimate win. I started off aggressive. He was rattled and I was confident. Might as well take advantage of that. The pressure got him to straight himself into a boulder, which was a great start for me. From there, I stuck to him as much as I could, limiting his escape options, and got close to him when he landed. I won that one without taking a single hit. The tension had left my body. I had done it. I won the tournament match legitimately. We still played a final match and Vic City won, but I was proud to finally report a score. For the final week of the tournament, I was going to face Fiery Wild Minstrel. I saw with a quick search that it was over 7k BP, so it was going to be a tough fight. I also noticed one thing that I didn't expect at all. I started the tournament at 34 BP. After my week 8 match, I was at 2550. I was very much in the running for the Rising Star Award, and I was going to do my best this week to lock it in. I wasn't too worried about it because I thought my main competition was going to be Rocky Boy, and he had improved by about 2500 BP. I decided to build a bit of a lead just to be safe, and I was fairly quickly at 2800. I wasn't really trying to improve on any specific aspect of my play, it was mainly trying to refine everything that I'd learned until now. Then I found out in the official Rumble Discord that there was someone ahead of me, someone named Rai. He was so far ahead of me when I ran into him in matchmaking back in July that I thought that he wasn't even eligible for the award. Turns out that he had started at 200 and basically had the reverse curve of what I had, and was currently up by 3000. You didn't hear about him until now even if I played him because I deleted the footage, because every time we ran into each other, his game crashed, and thinking that it would be irrelevant, I deleted it. Oops.
Okay, I delete the VC so I can play my goat.
While I was grinding for BP, I ran into Adini Mainini who had some solid advice for me.
So you should overpose, that way you can fix, because you're trying to go too efficient. If you overpose, like, do it strictly to how it's done in the game. Come on, you gotta just finish me or something. There you go. If you're ahead, like, unless they're like a brand new player, disc finish. I'm gonna throw this in your head right now. Don't let people tell you what you cannot do. Disc is the most loved structure in this game. Alright?
Sure. This week was finally going to be on Ring. I knew that I was probably going to lose to Minstrel, but the fact that I would finally be on my preferred stage gave me some confidence that I could at least put up a fight, and the confidence was showing a little too much even during the warm-up.
Oh my. Oh, I almost slingshotted that back as well.
Hi.
You can summon things, you know.
I know. No, I'm on host. I thought I wasn't allowed when I won host. Was it justified though? First round on host. I summoned a cube at just the wrong timing to get hit by my own cube, and Minstrel manages to take the opportunity to do a lot of damage from that. I come close to ringing him out a few times, and thanks to some nice dodges, I managed to close the gap. Remember when I talked about how it's more tiring to dodge too much? You can tell from both of our conditions.
That was
He's
terrifying.
speaking casually while you're just hearing me breathe heavily.
Amazing ducks.
Unfortunately for me, he managed to get this really nice cube launch to finish me off, meaning that he's starting with a client round. Is this about to be another 6-0? Round 2, I managed to get him low while I'm almost at full. 1 minute later, and I'm down to 1 HP. All of a sudden, I go into survival mode. I try to dodge everything I can, and just when I was about to be hit by a disc, I survived because I uppercut it just before it hits me. Because I did an uppercut on it, it considers me the one who used it, and it activates Adamant, cancelling the damage. I managed to clutch the round right after almost fumbling it. For round 3, I managed to ring him out by pressuring him near the edge as he tried to apply Explode to a wall. 1-0-0-1. Not going to be a 6-0, but since he already has a client round, it's going to be an uphill battle. Match 2. I'll just let the round 1 clip run.
Oh my. I didn't think I'd be able to pull off one of those.
Oh yeah, that was...
Oh my.
Not promising. Round 2 wasn't looking much better, honestly, until all of a sudden, he hit himself with a wall and launched himself off the stage.
No!
Let's go! Was it lucky? Yes. Was it deserved? Also yes. The only reason why I could get lucky in the first place was because I was maintaining the center, so he was forced to stay near the edge, where it would be much easier for him to fall off. Round 3? An easy win for Minstrel. We were now tied at 1-1-1-1. It felt like I was being outclassed for the most part, but I was happy that we were even at this point. Match 3. For round 1, Minstrel was trying to keep his distance away from me, and because there isn't too much room and that I was pretty much always controlling the center, it was easy for me to catch up to him and punish his landings. I took it fairly comfortably. Round 2, this cube's knockback went way farther than I expected. Still not sure how that happened, but it sent me off fast. One more client win from Minstrel. For round 3, it felt like Minstrel had finally warmed up. Compared to everything before, it felt like he was suddenly way faster than before, and it was much harder for me to maintain strong positioning like I was before. He managed to take the match, 1-1, 2-1. After that, I think that the fatigue was starting to get to me. I started to miss my poses more, and with Minstrel's execution getting better, I did not win a single round from that point on. That was one big point that I had to work on in the future. My cardio. If I wanted to keep going for an exhausting playstyle, I'd have to make sure that my physical condition was better than that. And so now exhausted, match over, there was only one thing left for me to do. More rumble, as the real week was finally beginning. With only 2 days left, Ryan and I were about to go crazy with the amount of BP we earned. At that point, I had a slight lead over him with just over 3k BP versus his 3100. And now, for the first time since I started, I was about to get rid of the Adamant Stone for a different one. The Surge Stone, where instead of reducing your damage taken by 1 after dealing damage, it increases your next attack's damage by 1. The best way to earn BP fast is by having your matches go quickly, and this combination is the best for it. On Saturday, I played for basically 8 hours. I got a message from Rocky Boy asking me to face him one more time to see where we both ended up skill-wise. At that point in time, I was at 3300 BP. I hit 3000 during the match versus Minstrel less than 24 hours prior. It took me until week 3 to reach 300, and I had just earned that much in a single day. While it took me a while for me to start going about even with Rocky the last time we played, this time it was from the get-go. Oh, I'm making you bring out the sediment, huh?
You're not the first black belt I want to. It's really strange having to try this hard against you in a match. I'm used to John Mark who I can bully for like 4 hours.
But that will also say, like, I said it, you're lucky you're facing me week 2. Well, we both respected our promise, I think. You didn't let yourself get overtaken by me, but I'm making you feel lucky that you faced me round 2 instead of later.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a surprise if I said I woke up with sore arms. If anything, it would have been a surprise if I didn't woke up with sore arms. Before I could fully focus on getting the last bit of BP I could, I had signed up for a tournament called NAMC, which is a single elimination tournament running in the afternoon. I was already up to things before my turn even came.
Saferman wants to join. I like that idea. We're gonna need like a last minute bracket change for that.
Oh, nobody's gone.
It could be Brad to drop out. No, John Mark, not you, not you.
Just give $5 to John Mark, okay?
Peanut and John Mark, guys.
If someone wants to give me a bribe, it's still not too late.
Safe? You got like a minute left.
Yeah, Safe. If you have a credit card, bank account, PayPal.
Honestly, I would say that this is the match with the most aura we have. Like the organizer of BRL versus the new up-and-coming pro player that beat Shulas.
I knew I wasn't going to do great. I was sore after all, but I didn't expect to do that poorly. I was missing a lot of my poses, which in this case was understandable, because I'm pretty sure I was trying to avoid optimal positions to be more comfortable. Musical Memoir was watching from the chat and gave me some solid advice.
Just try to slow down your movements every time you start to miss a few poses. It tends to help a lot.
I looked like the saltiest guy ever after the match, immediately leaving and ignoring everyone. I wasn't salty though. If anything, I was grateful, because I was now able to go back on the grind. I later talked to Peanut to apologize and explain why I ignored him, and it was nothing personal, and he completely understood. The daily leaderboard resets at 8 PM my time, 2 hours before the deadline. I decided to record a quick clip right before the reset to show what was at the time the most amount of BP I'd earned in the day. 337. If that somehow isn't enough, I don't know what to say. Man, I'm so... Seriously, like my shoulder hurts so much. I did grind for close to 1 more hour before I had to go for the most random tangent of this video. If you didn't know, I'm a competitive Pokemon player. I was signed up for a team tournament where we played old VGC formats, and I had a match scheduled 1 hour before the deadline, 9 PM. I was going to play my favorite format, the 2017 format, against a friend of mine. This was the weirdest type of pressure that I'd ever felt for a tournament match. Not just because I wanted to win for the sake of the team, but because I also wanted to win quickly because I needed to go back to the BP grind, since Rai was online and was either catching up or building up a lead. This format can have very long matches depending on the matchup, so I could either see a dream scenario or a total nightmare. We get into team preview, and I see an Eevee team. For those who don't know, in that format, Eevee has a signature move that doubles every single one of its stats that can be used once per battle. There were teams that were built around using that boost and passing it to very strong teammates to sweep teams. If I could stop Eevee from setting up, it could be very quick. If I couldn't, it could take a very long time. I knew what I wanted to lead with: Ninetales and Celesteela. I could use Leech Seed from Celesteela to slowly drain the HP of whatever Pokemon is going to receive the boost in the worst case scenario. In the best case scenario, my Ninetales has Roar, a very rare move on this type of team, and if I could use it on Eevee, it would be forced to switch out without passing the boosts. The best case scenario happens, and he forfeits after turn 1. For game 2, I decide to switch it up with Garchomp and Ninetales. I expect either a fake out into Ninetales or a follow me with Smeargle. I go for Icy Wind with Ninetales so that I can slow down Eevee to the point that it's manageable in future turns. And I go for my Z move with Garchomp to KO Eevee if he goes for fake out. He goes for the wide guard expecting me to click Rock Slide and Icy Wind. I KO Eevee and he forfeits after turn 1 again. The best news in all of this? This lasted 3 minutes. The fastest high level match I'd ever played. I was so back. Before I got into a game, I saw a ping in the official Rumble Discord. It was from Rai, wanting us to finish it 1v1 for the final hour. Of course I accepted.
John Mark! Our fated duel has come! I think I've got the stamina for it. Probably, yeah. Oh! Oh no!
Like, I had an NEMC too earlier, so I was just like, I hope that NEMC is not gonna cost me. Doesn't look like it's going to in the end. First thing I noticed when we paired was that I was in the lead in BP by about 40, which looked pretty good to me.
Man, I've been on all day, I'm like really pushing it.
Same. We started off even, but I was quickly starting to lose ground. The fatigue could be felt so much. I was kneeling between rounds to recover. That's how bad it was. My post consistency was at the lowest it had ever been, and all of a sudden, I remember the wise words I heard earlier.
Just try to slow down your movements every time you start to miss a few poses. It tends to help a lot.
I listened, and suddenly, I was starting to do better. And as if that was the trigger I needed, that wasn't the only advice I was remembering.
If you straight it right when it's going forward, that's a slingshot.
It was just a perfect culmination of everything that I had worked up until this point, coming together for the most important battle of my tournament.
Unless they're like a brand new player, disc finish.
And if this was a culmination of all of my training, what else would it be to finish off this final client round? The strupper cut. I practiced the move every time I played for at least 20 minutes to make sure that the muscle memory would build up.
No!
Yes!
Alright.
It is 10.
The final win goes to you.
And that's how I won the Rising Star Award by 35 BP. I finished the tournament in 123rd place out of 172, outplacing almost a third of the entrants. Considering that I started out as the worst player in the tournament, I'm satisfied with that. The legend of the Shoeless Slayer lives on to this day, and you will always hear me try to deny it. And even if I insistently deny it, you will see that I never get annoyed about it, because I know that deep down, this is just yet another way that people are showing their support. Thanks, guys.